Good morning and welcome to our monthly update on issues in Greene County government with Greene County Mayor David Crum, who joins us today after Monday night's meeting of the Greene County Commission. Mayor Crum, always a pleasure to have you with us.
Good morning, Jim. Thanks for having me here. Good morning, Greene County.
Well, we have a 2015-16 budget, certainly a couple months earlier than we did last year. The process worked. You got a budget that came in balanced, no property tax increase. And I think it's a document and certainly something that you and everybody in the county government should take some pride in.
It is. It was a whole lot less painful than last year's, that September, but I really think it was good for us in the long run that we came in without a budget, with that many new commissioners. It kind of forced us to get in there and really dig in and see that budget and the workings of government a lot more, and so I think that's why we were more prepared as we started in this budget process and looked at everything. So I'm glad we've got it early in July so that we kind of know what our year is going to look like overall. And so it was good to get that done and get us started.
To look ahead down the road, what do you see as being some? Certainly, there's going to be some issues with some of particularly the highway fund, the solid waste fund. That are going to have to be looked at over the course of the next year. Any other items that you're going to pay particular attention to as you start looking ahead to next year?
Well, we've got to still monitor that general fund very closely. It's balanced and with just barely ahead of revenue exceeding expenses, so we weren't looking at really spending any extra money in it. The wheel tax helped bring it even, so we're still looking at a lot of things in it. Try to be as efficient as we can in county government. But you're right. The two really big issues there is solid waste and the highway department. And solid waste, we look at that budget, it's just over $2 million. That's a lot of money that it takes to dispose of garbage in Greene County. So we're going to have to monitor that and look at ways, can we be more efficient? We've got a lot of convenience centers, and I know that's the term for them, but maybe we need to change them to waste disposal sites. Because we've cut those hours back last year and cut them back this year, tried to make some adjustments at the commission where people would have different locations pretty much each day to where they'd be able to dispose of solid waste. Right now we've got it scheduled 495 hours is what those 17 convenience centers are open, and there's not a lot of ways to cut some cost. When garbage crosses the scales, it costs X amount per ton, and that's just set by contract. I've said almost every month, try to recycle those things that we can, especially the cardboard, the plastic. Aluminum cans people do good because they can take those and generate some money themselves, but that corrugated and the plastic, that we can sell that and generate a little bit of revenue is one thing, but it also keeps it from going over the scales and having that cost. So think in terms of that: recycle, reduce, and reuse.
During the vote on the budget, there was an amendment offered by Commissioner John Waddle to kind of give a little bit of a solution to the solid waste issue, and it involved almost swapping the sales tax for property tax, is that 5 1/4 cents that goes from the property tax into solid waste was moved into the general fund, and the sales tax revenue goes into solid waste. Just talk a little bit about how that kind of came about, and what your thoughts are about that idea of doing it that way.
He did. For years, the municipality of Greenville had paid their tipping fees. They have door-to-door pickup, as does Tusculum. I know that had been a point of contention with the mayor and individuals in Greenville, that they felt, and I think probably so somewhat, that they were being taxed double in property tax rate by 5 cents, the 5.25 of their county portion of property tax going toward solid waste, and then whatever portion of the city's budget going toward those same tipping fees. So Commissioner Waddle came up with that proposal that took the property tax part out of it. I've kind of made the argument sometime in the past that property doesn't generate garbage, stuff does. So by taking it out of the property, that kind of fits in with that argument I've had that it's not a good place for it, even though state law indicates that what should be paying it. So by putting the sales tax in there, then it changes it to where you're not putting it on the property, and actually the sale of the stuff is what's doing it. So the sales tax for the out of municipal part of Greene County will be what would be paying the tipping fees, and it puts it back then for your municipalities of Greenville and Tusculum to pay theirs out of either their sales tax or whatever portion they come with.
Being such a last-minute decision as it was to make that switch and to kind of take out the paying of the tipping fees for Greenville, has there been any feedback that you've gotten so far about that decision?
Haven't had a chance really to talk to Mayor Daniels and them. His argument in the past had been it's not fair, so I hope he sees that we tried to do it in a way that would be fair to both of those municipalities, of what one's paying the other one then is expected to pay. So we'll have that conversation. Hopefully this sales tax, as people purchase in the county, then will help be able to take care and fund the solid waste.
There was also some question and conflicting opinions almost about whether or not, you alluded to it, about property tax being delegated strictly to solid waste. It's kind of a gray area, I guess, that the reading statutes and whatnot, but it's something that kind of been mixed signals, and it's a decision that you decided to go ahead on based on some feedback that the budget director Mary Shelton got.
It is. It's one of those, as we've been talking about this for a few months now. Our attorney had found one opinion that solid waste should be funded completely by property tax. So if you're not going to double tax those people in the municipality, then it should inherently be the county's property tax to pay. Whenever this proposal came up, our budget director contacted the comptroller's office and kind of got some opinion that they were good with the sales tax going into that. So that didn't create, even though it looks like a black and white issue, apparently solid waste is really gray. There's been some legal things that our attorney says still make it gray. So hopefully we won't end up in a legal issue that as we continue down this year we can deal with it in a way that all municipalities in the county can work together to dispose of this, because it is a big problem for everybody, the cost of disposing of solid waste.
Moving on to some of the other items that came up during the meeting on Monday, one of the topics that was discussed was the idea of doing something with solar farms, because as the zoning regulations didn't have any explanation about solar farms, and of course with the installation going in Chucky, there's been some controversy about that certainly, and it gave the zoning folks a chance to kind of step forward, and the planning commission a chance to kind of step forward and say, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to define it, and that was one of the issues voted on at the meeting on Monday.
It was. We have a lot of, I guess, industry manufacturing or things that whenever they start looking to come in, they want to look, what does it fit, and does it fit in this zoning, and they'll ask our planning people, and they'll look at it and render an opinion. And in this case, they had rendered an opinion that a solar farm was appropriate in agriculture areas, so they were pursuing that. And then as the neighbors saw it, they really didn't mind the solar farm, they just didn't want it there next to them. And so it's kind of come into that conflict, and that was what the resolution, to kind of give some additional guidelines in case additional solar farms come into Greene County for future possible development.
Another item that came up during the meeting on Monday was another procedure that's been voted on now to about accessing public records and making photocopies and kind of defining all that. Just based on the number of requests that come in for copies of documents, it was starting to take up a lot of time for staff, and this kind of set a schedule now for folks who might want to examine some of those records.
It did, and that was one of the comments I made. We don't want to impede people getting that, but we don't want to also get bogged down that all we're doing is public records request, and if we've got other deadlines and things that might need to be met. So it did give a little bit of guidelines, and it's kind of like, if you come into my office and there's something there, I had a person come in that I had to sign a paper for them one day, and we made a copy for my office and made a copy, and they were wondering why they weren't charged for that copy when another office they were charged for a very large document that had to be bound. And so it's kind of a big difference there between one copy and several copies. And as we get into some legal issues, our attorney said they get some public record requests that may take hours to comply with, and they will comply, but that's a particular request to be able to try to cover the cost of a public records request.
Animal control has been in bad need of some fresh vehicles, and now they're going to have a chance to do that, an appropriation of up to $28,000 for them to get a new truck, which is something that's been sorely needed over there.
It is. We put a fee, and it was good, I think, that we did this to help give them a little bit of financial help of $1 on vaccinations for dogs and cats, and it goes into a special capital projects fund that to help build up and allow them to do some things just like this truck. Their truck's getting, and they've got 3, 2 of them have got a lot of miles. One's just wore them out on expenses. So this allowed them to go ahead and buy that and reduce their repair cost. And when they get it and sell the old one, then that dollar fee will go back in and reimburse so that it will pay this rather than it actually reimburse that capital projects fund.
One resolution that was voted down would have resulted in reorganizing the EMS board. It was a proposal put out by Commissioner Eddie Jennings, and it was voted down. It would have required members of the EMS board to be only either county commissioners or members of the board of mayor and aldermen in the city. And of course, right now there's the hospital CEOs are members of that board. Kind of a little bit more of a cross section of folks across the government, and that was voted down.
It was. That's a joint board between city and county, and we've got on there 2 commissioners, so it's a little heavier that the one alder person, Ms. Webster, and county mayor, city mayor. We have a doctor, and it rotates between the hospital staff is what we've come up with on that, and each hospital administrator. And so that was voted down. So that board will stay in effect as it has. It went for a number of years, about 4, I think, it didn't meet. And so we've been meeting and been much more active in the last year.
And Sean Street, the health department director, is on there as well.
Thank you, Jim.
And then there was a vote, just kind of a renewal of sorts, with TDEC having offices that they've been leasing some space from the county, and just renewing that as well.
It was. They have an office over in building and zoning planning, and basically where you go to apply for your permits for septic tanks and things, and it allows our citizens to have an access here. They've talked about closing that, so I was glad to get that renewed, because we really don't want people to have to drive all the way to Johnson City to the TDEC office if they've got a business to deal with them.
Some of the other items that are on your plate right now, certainly the search for a permanent EMS director is underway, and where's that stand right now?
Actually had our first interview yesterday. We've got another one scheduled to do by Skype tomorrow. I've done those interviews prior with people by Skype. It seems to work well to be able to still do it if they can't arrange to come here. We had some really good applicants.
Is there anything else that's coming up on your agenda for things that might be interested in the public to know about that might be coming down the road?
One of those things that we are working on is that cost that we have for the housing of juveniles that end up in detention. This past year we had to transfer some additional funds. That's really costly to do that. So we're looking at some other options besides just where we have been placing them in Johnson City, to have some other juvenile detention facilities to house those that may be able to save us some money, but also give our juvenile officers some flexibility in placement. Because this last year we had an instance where there was several individuals involved in one situation, and so they may need to be able to locate those at different places, and so it'd give them some opportunity there.
Well, it's hard to believe that there's only a couple more weeks until the start of school, and the school year gets underway earlier and earlier each year, it seems like, and they'll be getting back to classes here in a couple weeks. So as people start thinking about back to school stuff, of course they'll be worrying about safety as well, and just hoping that people stay safe out on the roadways, and when you see the school buses coming through here again before long, to watch out for them.
Will be. Those big yellow buses will be getting on the road and making their moves, and children will be back in school, and a lot more young drivers out there driving to high school and around. So we want people to be safe. It won't be long till it's football time. Will be cranking up, and the fair. The fair,
yes. By the next time we sit down and talk, we'll have already been through the fair.
We will. It's time moves quickly. The summer's almost over, so
it definitely does.
And tax-free weekend's coming up the 1st of August.
That's true.
August, 6th, 7th, 8th?
I think that's it. So that'll be a chance for some folks to get some last-minute back-to-school shopping done, or anything else that they may want to purchase that'll be of good to them. So until next month, of course, Greene County Mayor David Crum, we thank you very much for your time, and we'll talk to you in a month.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Greene County.